Upgrade number 2 for the simulator. Front pockets. Want to know how I did these? Stick around. G'day everyone, thanks for joining and tuning in. As you know, I'm continuing with the upgrades to the Sim. Upgrade number 2 was those front pockets. And what I've decided to do eventually was a solid pocket. And I'll show you that in a moment, a bit more detail in Fusion 360, just to show you that. But maybe what we can do is I'll just go over probably why I chose to go solid over material, and then also some of the features of this solid pocket. And obviously it's nothing flash, but you know, you get the idea. So I guess firstly, the pocket itself, I could have gone material, and obviously a lot of the standard Cessnas, in fact I think most of them are all material based. Basically the reason I didn't go for material based was because I couldn't be bothered taking myself to a local upholstery type store or whatever to get the material to do it. There's plenty of ways you can do it, and thanks to those subscribers of mine and others that have sent me some information on that. Really do appreciate it. But eventually I thought, oh, maybe, and I did see there is an aircraft, I can't remember what it is, but I'm sure I've seen an aircraft that does have solid inserted pockets, you know, so similar to what you've got in your car, I guess, you know, something a bit more solid, and that way you're not having to pull the elastic out or, you know, and try and force something in. And that was part of the reason, was I didn't have to, you know, reach down and be pulling, particularly not so much pulling stuff out, but for putting stuff back in. Particularly if it was paper or something like that, something a bit more, you know, not as rigid as a laminated piece. So that was the reason I went for the solid, and then it was a case of just designing the size of it. So for this one here, you know, if I show you a standard A4 sheet of paper, or A4, there's a group of sheets of paper here, but they slot in quite nicely in the landscape. Okay, and as you can see, that's there. I'll maybe just show it with the print on the other side. So landscape version, they sit in quite nicely, like that. I can also go into the portrait version, and you've got plenty of room there as well. I'll show you in Fusion a bit more about the actual dimensions of it, but I've given myself a little bit of space, but without too much. Probably could have gone a little bit thinner, but I wouldn't have gone too much more thinner than that. I think that's actually not too bad. And there we go there. The other little features I've got on this is, you know, just aesthetically a bit of a cutout through there, and then some holes in the front. That's only just for mounting purposes for the back, but I'll show you that in a moment in Fusion. To get this to print though, you can see it's been done over several stages. I've had to, you know, layer this, and then I sliced it, printed it vertically, but sliced it through here. Didn't mean to slice it through this one. It's because I had a power cut and I had to go and do, you know, it sort of got all the way up to there, and then I had a power cut, and so I had to do that bit separately. So that wouldn't be in the next one, and then it was just the base. Had a little bit of warping as well on my printer, so a little bit of warping through there, but you're not going to see any of that once it gets painted up in the same color as the inside trim of the Sim. I think it'll look pretty good. Let's jump into Fusion 360, and I'll just give you a bit more dimensions on this thing for those that may be interested in doing something similar for yourself. And yeah, let's go. Okay, here we are in Fusion 360, and I've got the front pocket up on the display. You can just see, just taking a quick pause, but look at all the different bodies that I've got all through Fusion 360 that underpin my simulator. There's quite a lot of work that's in all of that, and yeah, that's quite a few sessions in itself, but that's where a lot of my time has gone in the Sim. Anyway, coming back to the pocket here, so fundamentally this is actually in 3 pieces. You can see I've got bodies 1, 2 and 3, so if I was to float over that, you can see I've effectively got this bottom piece here, which is basically this face here, as you can see, number 2 through here, and then number 3. And the reason for that slicing was purely so that the 3D printer which I have, which is a Creality CR10S Pro, can print it successfully across the bed. And to do that, I actually had to go diagonal on my print bed because of the length, and I'll get into these dimensions in a moment. To take you through just some of the features of this, and it's nothing flash, as you can see. It is purely a just a solid pocket. So basically, it obviously gets fixed to the back of the, to the inside of the wall of your simulator on that side there, on the inside. And I've kept these holes through the front so that I can literally push a screwdriver through that with the, self-tapping screw, and then be able to screw that in there. And what I'll probably do is once it's in position, is I'll do myself some some 3D printed filler pieces for that, fill that in, and then paint over the top, and you're probably none the wiser. I'll make them almost like a bit of a push fit so that I can push them back out again if I need to get to those screws once again. But that's the reason for that, so that I can screw it, and then have it nice and neat. Otherwise, you'd have to have some flanges either side, and that just look a little bit more untidy. So I think that once that gets done, I'll push those filler pieces back in and paint it. Yeah, it'll look pretty good. I've just fundamentally just rounded off some edges as well, just to keep it nice. Just rounded off the edges with a fillet through there. Again, just for aesthetic reasons, and also just practically, just cut out the front a little bit there, so that if I happen to have something in landscape, an A4 in landscape, you get to be able to grab it from sort of here, which is always handy. But also in portrait mode, it's just easier as well. And that was that. And then obviously the other thing I did is, because obviously it's solid, and I can imagine over time dust would get in there and build up a little bit, so I just did a little cutout at the bottom, as you can see there, so I can just sweep the dust out, or any little bit of dust that might gather in the bottom there, rather than trying to suck it out, because you're not going to be able to get a vacuum or something down that, but you can probably get a small little brush or something just to brush that out, and grab it that way. So that was the reason for that little cutout there, and that's pretty much it. So let's get some dimensions for you now, just if you want to have something for yourselves or have a look at it, something similar. And again, this is purely just taking, the way I did this was just looking at an A4 sheet of paper, and then working out a little bit of clearance either side, and you can play around with this to your heart's content. So let's go. I'll do some internal dimensions first, and we'll go from there. So internally, let's go from on the width of this thing. So we'll do a width of this. So we'll come from, say, here. It's a bit hard when I've got the fillets on, but we'll go from that side there, and then come around to the other side, and just do a quick dimension on that. And that's 310 millimeters. Stay corrected. Should learn my fusion. 310 millimeters inside. Okay. And then on the outside, it's a little bit more difficult once again, but I'll do my best to try and get something in there. So it's about 223, as you can see, but that's roughly to the underside. So roughly 225 if you want to be, close enough. So what do we say? 310 on the inside, 223, and then the actual inside clearance between the two faces there is going to be, let's do that one now, and that is 20 millimeters on the inside clearance inside the wall. And the actual thickness that I did this at, I went pretty sturdy actually, because I didn't want it to be flimsy. So I'm pretty sure I've got either 5 or 6, but let me just check that again. Five, there we go. So that's 5 millimeters. So the thickness of this was done at 5 millimeters. It's in PLA. And it's on the Creality CR10S Pro, and I'll take you there now and show you the print in action. This is the base being done in action across the print bed. So there you have it. a solid front pocket for the simulator. So I think that'll end up looking pretty good once it's all painted up, and pretty much like my upgrade number 1. I haven't done any of the painting yet for both the first upgrade being those side window cutouts, nor this. So I'm hoping to get that done in the next couple of weeks as we progressively move through those upgrades. So once again, thanks for joining me. If you have any questions at all on this, look, feel free to leave a comment below. Smash the like button, as I would hope. Really helps me out. And yeah, thanks again, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye for now. Well, slight little problem. Got the first one done, as you would have seen from before, but got halfway into the second one, and so there was the base part all 3D printed up. Here's the second part all 3D printed up, or the top part, and then I just had to do the middle bit. But unfortunately, my 3D printer has decided to pack up. After 3.5 years, it's decided that it's had enough, so now I've got to get another one. So a little bit of a pause on this upgrade. Come back to you soon. But first, let's just jump straight in, and I'll show you. Oh, that shit, like that doesn't sound good at all. Start again. I don't even know how to start this thing. I need a storyboard. Upgrade number 2, if I'm not mistaken, were the front pockets. Maybe that's correct. Maybe that is. What was waffling on?